Hi guys, Greg Secker here. Today I'm with my friend Skip Archimedes. Now Skip is regarded as one of the top health experts in the industry today, and on this channel we try and do something a little bit different. I don't just focus on candlestick patterns in forex trading, but really the holistic full complement of all the tools and tricks and strategies I use to make sure that I can be the best I can possibly be. And I notice on a lot of the other channels where people discuss trading, technical trading and foreign exchange and all the other asset classes, no one is covering the area of nutrition. And that is a stone we cannot leave unturned. So we're going to be discussing that and how you can use this to become a better trader, to become a better human being, to have more energy, more focus, more concentration, and get the job done in less time with better results. We're going to be discussing that right here, right now. Okay, so let's get started with this series. The first section we want to talk about today is, and you brought these to the table, right? Because this is what we discussed when I was going through the lifestyle of drinking too much coffee, really losing my energy by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was trying to prop myself up with carbohydrates, with coffee, and my results were starting to decline. So the first section we're going to discuss with you today is poor nutrition leads to really bad trading decisions. Now maybe, Skip, if you can kind of walk us through some of those elements, then we'll give some meat to the bone, shall we?
Sure. Well, all of this is related to trading, but ideally, you've got to understand that poor nutrition equals poor results in all areas of your life. Yeah. Because what's going to happen is you're going to start to get brain fog. You're not going to be able to think clearly. You're not going to be able to make good, clear decisions. There's not going to be clarity up here. What we're also going to have is low energy. And as soon as you've got low energy, your creativity is going to go down. You're not going to have that staying power. There's going to be no endurance for you to stay in the game like you was experiencing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Everything was dipping and you was looking for some type of stimulant to pick you back up. But as soon as that stimulant's burnt out, bam, your energy comes crashing back down again. So we've got to make sure that up here, because this is where all your trading decisions get made.
That's right.
So if there's fogginess, if there's low energy, what do you think is going to happen to the concentration?
Well, it's kind of interesting, right? So I remember thinking when I would meet some, you meet some people in California who are 75 years old, and they're running and they're jogging. You think, how the hell are these? Do they have some, some genetic benefit? Are they born under a different star? How come, I can meet 30-year-old people in, I don't know, the Midlands in England, right? Who haven't taken care of their health. And let's not say people in the Midlands in the UK haven't taken care of their health. There's people in the Midlands in the UK who are running triathlons, right? But I can compare two different sectors of society, and one seems to be considerably older, one seems to be considerably younger. Yeah, the older guys have got this incredible health and well-being and energy and vitality.
And freedom in life.
Exactly right. And what was the difference? And for me, what was really interesting is we started to, you've got to look at this a little bit deeper than just at a superficial level. And what we discovered, a couple of things that rang true with me was that we don't get older because we age. We get older because we build up the number of toxins in our body. Exactly. You can see a guy who's 35 years old who's literally fat, right? He's got low energy. He looks terrible. You can see that same guy 10 years later and he looks 30 years younger than he did when he was in his mid-30s. Now, why is that? How is that? Well, it seems to be this buildup of toxins and acidity in the body, which is really causing the vast majority of the problem.
100%. And what that's going to do is, when you start making these emotional choices, this is what a lot of people are doing. They're making choices for their nutrition. They're either convenient or it's emotional. One or the other. Either one of them is not going to have you trading at your best. Yeah. So when we start to realize, right, what I've got to make is I've got to make nutritional investments. I've got to give this physical thing in that I live in, I've got to give it what it needs. Your cells need some simple things. Oxygen's number one. Keep breathing. Water number two. But nutrients. I'm not saying food. I'm saying nutrients. Yeah. Why not food? Yeah. Because we've depleted our food system. We've screwed up the food system. And basically the foods that we now buy only contain 5 to 20% of the nutritional value to 100 years ago.
The soil we have in our farms nowadays doesn't have the mineral content it had 30, 40 years
depleted ago. By like 70 to 80% globally. This is around America, it's around Asia, it's around Europe. We've screwed it up. Yeah. So we have to make sure that the body is still getting live nutrients. This is the game changer. When you start to give the body these live nutrients, all of a sudden your memory is going to start working better. This whole flow of information is just going to start flowing up and down instead of there being a block, instead of there being fogginess. It's like trying to see through the clouds. You know what it's like in an aeroplane when you go through a cloud, you can't see anything.
Well, that's right. And there's this human development, this personal development movement, which is all based on, learn some strategies. And it's all about willpower and you're going to make progress. And I found through the training we did over the last year, that to be the exact opposite. Unless you build things from the inside out, unless you get yourself more alkalized, so you've got natural energy. If you're waking up in the morning and you think, oh God, I could really do another couple of hours in bed, that tells you everything. It tells you everything. Right?
It shows that you've got work to do.
It shows you've got work to do because you really want to be waking. I know it sounds great and it sounds, potentially utopian to be waking up in the morning and bouncing out of bed, but
it's true. I want people to know that can happen. Energy doesn't care on your age, it doesn't care on your size, it doesn't care on your skin color, it doesn't care about anything. Energy is energy. And as you once had that energy as a child, when you woke up and you sprang out of bed and you was jumping on the bed and you was energized, imagine having that now and bringing that energy to your trading. I mean, look at us before we started today. What did we do? We played.
We were playing table tennis in my pool area. That's right. And so, but interestingly enough, I think people get sidetracked into the mindset that as we're getting older, we lose energy because we're getting older. And it's not true.
Such a silly
When you're
belief system.
younger, you've got less toxins in you because you're practically just fresh from the womb, right? Yes. Then there's not a lot of toxins going on.
And less toxic stuff up here as well.
There's less toxicity here, there's less toxicity in the body. But as people get older, of course, they're drinking alcohol, they're drinking coffee, they're drinking lots of sugar-based products. Probably the worst thing you can stick in your body is sugary drinks. Look at your average trader, and I've worked across 7 trading floors around the world, and I've met some of the best currency traders in the business. Some of them, or should I say, the vast majority of them, today, their performance is way in excess of what people were achieving in the late 80s and early 90s. Because in the late 80s and early 90s, there was a big drug and alcohol culture. Performance or individual performance was not as important as how much money they were just making off clients. I aren't teaching people on this channel how to work at an investment bank or how to work for a hedge fund. I'm teaching people on this channel how to become a successful self-directed currency trader, which means making money for themselves, not making money by charging people commissions, not making money by charging people performance fees, actually taking their own money, being responsible for it, making good decisions about it, using effective strategies and managing their emotions in such a way that when things go wrong, they don't react, they respond. Brilliant. And there's a big difference between reacting and responding. And what we want to get to through this series of educational videos, this area is really all about smart nutrition, using the tools that you provided with me. And by the way, I'm taking it every day. I'm taking the chlorella every day. I'm taking the lemon juice and the water every day. I'm alkalized every day.
Hours every day.
Yes, exactly.
This is what I want people to understand. When you're putting dead stuff in, and I'm talking about things that are processed, things that have not got life force energy in it, this whole game of life is around energy. You need energy so that your mind can focus well. You need energy so you can make the right decisions. You need energy so that you can be in the right relationships. You need energy so that you can start to carve out the type of body that you want to live in. If we're not making conscious choices around saying, right, this dead stuff that was going in, it's got to be removed.
Right.
And what you'll start to do is simply by giving the body these superfoods, giving the body something that is not going to drain the body of energy, is going to be the building blocks. Because a year from now, that's what I want people to understand. A year from now, most of the cells in your body are brand new cells.
That's right.
So you're made of 100 trillion cells put together. How are they reforming? How are they rebuilding? And they're rebuilding based on your nutrition and what your mindset is. If you start to change the nutrition, a year from now, most of the cells in your body are going to be brand new cells. And guess what? You're now a new you. You're a more reformed you. You're a better you. And this is exactly what's happened with yourself.
So what we're going to do on this video right now, I'm going to have an image appear about here right now. And this image is a list of acid-forming food. I want you to be aware of the difference between acid-forming food, which is in this image here, and over here on this image, which is on your side, importantly, is the alkali-forming foods. I want to start this conversation off so you can understand the difference between acid-forming foods and alkali-forming foods. You take a look at the list of acid-forming foods right here, right now. These are foods you've really got to reduce in your diet as much as possible.
And why? Because that's going to bring in low energy. That's going to bring in the low immunity. That's opening up the door to illness.
Yeah, and I think the important part of that is that we're trained to think calorific energy is what we seek, and it's not. We seek electrical energy.
Show me an animal in nature that counts calories.
Sorry?
Show me an animal in nature that counts calories.
That's right, and it's the electrical energy, isn't it? If you look at, you started off by talking about brain fog. What is brain fog? Well, brain fog is actually when you look at the synaptic firing in your brain from neuron to neuron, that being slowed down by a fraction of a second because of a lack of electrical impulses. Now, what reduces that electrical impulse firing? What reduces the electrical impulse firing is actually an acidic environment. That acidic environment denatures a lot of the hydrogen atoms in the body.
It rips the electrical charge away.
Exactly. It denatures that myelin sheath around each of those neurons, and it screws up the electrical firing. That's what we get when we go to sleep at night. We get the repolarization of those myelin sheath around those neurons. You wake up and you feel, not like you've had a meal, you wake up and you feel refreshed. You should wake up in the morning and feel refreshed. What is that concept of that refresh? That refresh is the repolarization of the myelin sheath. It gets you that electrical firing happening, and it makes you feel alive, because you literally are more alive.
And that's the whole point of all of this game of life. If you're not feeling alive when you're trading, what it means is that you've got more things to learn. And one of the biggest things you can learn is start to understand what you're putting in the body. Are you using your body as a trash can, or are you respecting what you're putting in to say, right, I'm now going to make an investment in this, what's going in, because now I realize that this is going to rebuild me faster. It's going to help me to detox and cleanse. It's going to help me to get alkaline. It's going to help my brain to just function so much better, instead of it being trapped because it's being beaten up by something dead that's coming in. And what this allows people to do is bring order to chaos. You understand this whole world is chaos. If you can't learn how to bring order to chaos in here, what's the chance of you bringing someone balanced to your trading? When you learn how to balance out, you watch what's going to happen to your trading. You're going to start to play at high levels, because that's what happened with you. Look what happened to your whole business since this thing has started to function better.
It's incredible. And so let's just cut to the quick now with poor nutrition and poor results. You've seen the difference between the acidic forming foods, the alkali forming foods. A great hack straight off the bat is some of these Smart Nutrition chlorella tablets that you gave me. I don't know how long ago it was now, maybe 6-8 months ago, which literally just, it's great to think you can eat all these alkali forming foods. It's great to think you can avoid all these acid forming foods. But in the practicalities of life, when these you might be at a big dinner where you drink some wine and you have foods which form acids in your body. How do you quickly snap yourself into an alkaline state without having to, just constantly live off vegetables all the time? And I found the shortcut to that was these chlorella tablets. They made such a big difference. I could take them in the mornings. I could take them first thing at night. And I saw a huge difference between snacking on sugar-based foods and taking chlorella at night. Like, what you put in your body last thing of the day really defines what your
and the first thing.
Yes, and it shows what your day is going to be like. If I sit there and I snack on a Mars bar or some chocolate, the next day your energy levels are, you can't go to bed in the morning because there's no energy in you to get going. So chlorella tablets have been a really big shift.
Well, let's make this make common sense. We all know Duracell batteries. Why do Duracell batteries last 7 times longer?
Because they're alkaline.
Dun, 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 dun. It's not rocket science. So we've got to make sure that if we want that endurance, if we want that energy, if we want that aliveness, we have to get our blood alkaline. And what I do myself, and I know you do this as well, first thing in the morning, handful of chlorella tablets go in. Why? Because we want to be alkaline immediately. What most people are doing is they're breaking their fast. They're waking up, something sugary is going in there, something caffeine, something acidic is going in there. It could be a coffee, it could be a cereal, it could be a fruit juice. All of this acid forming food, it's going to shut the body down, because that sugar, what it does is inside the body, it turns to glue. And that glue in your blood is going to now take time for that information to get up to the mind. Your mind you can't get good concentration when you're living on these stimulants. You start to bring in alkalinity, all of a sudden the whole game changes. Just on that one little, that's one little hack. It's a simple hack, but the results are phenomenal, because as you said, so many times, and it's not just the food that's going in. Think about the mental stress levels you have around this. That creates acid. So what we've got to do is, and it takes about 20 parts alkaline to buffer 1 part acid. So we've really got to start to look at, right, what foods can I start to add in my diet? What foods can I start to cut out?
That's an interesting ratio.
It's a hardcore ratio, because without having that alkalinity in the blood, you just can't function at your best. And it's
not just function at your best, the decisions you make are so different.
That's everything.
And in the trading game, as you guys are becoming aware of more and more, those of you actually trading live now, I know some of you are still in demo mode, But you just cannot escape the trading game. I mean, it is visceral, it is real, it is black and white. Yeah. If you're making poor decisions, you see it in your P&L straight off the bat. There's no hiding in this game. There are lots of other games in life you can hide. In the trading game, there's nowhere to hide. And
you're either going to get the results or you're not.
That's right. You're going to get, and the decisions you make, most people realize quite quickly is you can't control what the market's going to do, but boy, oh boy, the ability to stick to your plan. When I throw conferences and I hold big trading sessions with groups of past graduates or new graduates, my first question is, number one, how many people have a trading plan? Well, less than half the room put the hand up. And that's my first change I make with any group. Make sure you have a trading plan so you know what right is and you know what wrong is. Nice. Most people think, well, I'm right if I make money. You say, well, the market goes against you. Does that make you wrong? No. The only thing that makes you wrong is by not having a plan, number one. Number two, not following it. And by working on changing you from the inside out so you aren't making poor decisions, your synapses are firing in such a way that you are following a plan. You are not emotionally upset. And I mean by emotionally upset is that when you are in an acidic environment, you'll find that you're negatively focused.
Oh, for sure.
You're making terrible decisions. You're making decisions to make up from something else.
Well, your whole nervous system is being prodded by or being polluted by this acid. Yeah. Because acid, if you've got acid in the blood, acid is going to lead to illness. Acid is going to lead to the body breaking down. Acids are going to lead to all of the negative things that we've just mentioned. Brain fog, low energy, concentration, memory. You cannot bring order to chaos when there's acid in the body. And mentally, for most people, this stuff is going to create acid. So what we've got to load up on is the alkalinity. And this is where the powders, they can literally take one scoop, put it in a mix, drink it, and all of a sudden you're going to give that body. Remember people on the retreat when we were drinking those things, and you can feel them literally getting in the blood. If it doesn't end up in the blood, what's the chances of it affecting the brain? Yeah, exactly. It's just not. So we want to make sure that your brain can function smartly, that your decisions are smart, that you're making good decisions in balance. Because if you're not in balance and you make a decision off balance, you can guarantee it's going to be the wrong decision. And everyone knows in this game of life that you are where you are because of decisions that you've made. So I want to ask you this question. Why did you feel that really changing things from a nutritional point of view, making sure that these superfoods are getting in your body, why initially did you make that change?
Why did I make the change to do this?
Yeah.
Because I found that over time my toxin levels were building up, and my response to that was to go to the gym. Because I felt, well, to be healthy, I should hit the gym. And what I didn't realize is the more going to the gym I was doing, whilst in an acidic state, I was making myself more acid. Yeah. And that was the most frustrating thing, was that I'm thinking maybe I can work this out, I can sweat this out. Yeah. And what I ended up finding out was that I was just creating more lactic acid in my body, and I was getting sicker. Yeah. If I worked,
you had that injury.
I had a what do you call it? Like a tennis elbow type injury. What do you call it? Tendonitis. And I was wearing this Mazzalo cuff that I got from Germany, which kind of held my arm in traction. And it'd been like that for 6 weeks. And of course, I started alkalizing, and boom, within 4 days, I was lifting weights again. Yeah.
So pain-free.
Pain-free. Yeah. But the key is that I didn't recognize, this is one of the most interesting elements, is that we've known this for some time, yet most people still ignore it. Most people are still drinking sugary drinks, which is probably the worst thing you can put in your body. You can poop out half a Mars bar, but you absorb 100% of a can of Coke. So any sugar you put in your bloodstream is like you are heading yourself down the road to diabetes super fly fast quickly, and I found that I had to forget going to the gym, forget any of this. I did the fasting with you, which stopped putting all the stuff in the pipe. I alkalized, and then when I got myself back to a strong position, then hit the gym. Yeah. But not the other way around. And too many people are eating rubbish and then thinking they can correct it all by going to the gym. And I realized we had to take a different approach. Yeah. So I'm going to wrap this first video up here, which is poor nutrition equals poor results or poor trading decisions. You'll see in the comments, or should I say the description of this video, where you might be able to get access to some of these chlorella tablets that I literally live on right now. So if you're interested in taking some of that, I highly recommend it. It's part of the Smart Nutrition range. It's... I will not travel without a big, I literally was snowboarding last week, and somebody said, what do you got in your backpack? And I'm like, I pulled out this big bag of these chlorella tablets. I just got a handful of them, I bang them in. It will change your life. Just taking that. If you're somebody who's still a meat eater, if you're somebody who likes to drink a lot of alcohol, if you're somebody who likes sugary drinks, if I can't get you off that, then at least get a handful of this chlorella stuff and get it in your body. It will rip out those toxins, won't it?
Let me also say that when you're making the choices where there's the sugary choices, there's the stimulant choices, the caffeine choices, what you're doing is you're actually feeding creatures inside of you. This is why people have got candida and parasites and things like that, because they've created an environment where these species can grow.
Yeah, right.
And when you get this craving for that sugary thing, you get this craving for the stimulant, it's not you, it's these creatures inside you craving it. So what you're doing is you're actually feeding that within you. As you start to get alkaline, what happens is these things can't live in an alkaline environment. And we can now prove that illness and disease and ailments, none of that stuff can live in an alkaline environment. So you're not just affecting your trading, you're literally affecting the very thing that you live in, because now all of a sudden as you get alkaline, all these cravings for these poisons that just don't serve you, they're giving you that instant hit. But that instant hit is going to have you come crashing down. So all of those cravings that you have when you're alkaline, they just disappear.
Yeah, it's the obsession with sugar, isn't it? The obsession with sugar stimulant, but we're not fixing the problem from inside out. So that was the great fast route success for me, was taking chlorella. That really kicked the game off. So guys, again, if you love this video, don't forget to hit like. There ain't a love button, but hit like, hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel already. And we look forward to seeing you in the next video.